All right, if you're in IT support, I bet you basically live inside Postman, right? You're setting requests, checking responses, and copy-pasting JSON all day long. But what if I told you that's like using a smartphone only to make phone calls? Yeah, let's dive into the powerful features you've probably never even touched.
Ugh, we've all been there, haven't we? A customer reports some super bizarre issue, but for the life of you, you can't reproduce it. Or even worse, the one environment you need to test something is down for maintenance again. These are the daily frustrations that just kill productivity and let bugs hang around way too long. Look, if you're just using Postman to send requests, you're honestly only using about 10% of its real power. And that other 90%? Well, that's where the real magic happens. It's where you start solving these exact problems. So we're about to uncover that other 90%, your Postman blind spot. And these aren't just little features. They are superpowers for any support engineer. We're talking about stuff designed to eliminate dependencies, automate all that tedious work, and prove definitively that a bug exists. First up, mock servers. This is your secret weapon against unreliable backend environments. Instead of sitting around waiting for a dev team or for that staging server to come back online, you can just create your own stable, simulated environment. So what is a mock server, really? Think of it as a fake API that you control completely. It returns exactly the data you tell it to every single time. This is how you decouple yourself from those backend dependencies and test any scenario you want, especially those tricky error states, totally on your own terms. And get this, it is so easy to set up. You can simulate a nasty production 500 internal server error in like less than a minute. Seriously, you just create a new mock, add an example for the endpoint that's failing, and then you define the exact response you need. Status code 500, a specific error message, you name it. Boom. Now you can test how the front end handles that failure without ever touching a live server. And hey, don't just take my word for it. In a case study, Axis Bank pointed out that mock servers completely removed their dependency on the DevOps team. That dramatically sped up their development pace. I mean, that's a total game changer for team autonomy. All right, superpower number 2, Postman flows. This is all about getting rid of those repetitive, multi-step tasks that just eat up your day. You know what I'm talking about. Every time you have to run a whole sequence of API calls just to set up a single test case. Ugh, this slide, it's just so painfully familiar, right? The old way. You run a request, you copy the user ID, you paste it into the next request to get their orders, and on and on. It's manual, it's slow, and it's so easy to make a mistake. With flows, you just connect these visual blocks on a canvas and the data flows automatically between them. You build a workflow once, and then you just click Run forever. So the whole idea here is turning these super complex, scripted sequences into simple visual diagrams. And this isn't just for developers, product managers, support engineers. Anyone can use this no-code canvas to map out and test entire user journeys from login to checkout, making sure every single step works together perfectly. And for our final superpower, this one's a big one: AI-generated tests. Just imagine having an expert QA engineer sitting right next to you, ready to write comprehensive tests for any API response, instantly. Well, that's basically what agent mode is. I just love this quote from a Postman community member because it nails the feeling perfectly. Postman's AI doesn't just suggest a bit of code, it actually understands what you're trying to do and generates production-ready scripts in seconds. You describe what you need in plain English, and it handles the how. And you won't believe how thorough it is. With one click, you can ask it to generate tests for all the essentials. Is the status code at 200 okay? Did the response come back in under 500 milliseconds? Does the JSON body match the required schema? It can even check for specific values or headers. And just like that, you're building a rock-solid regression suite without writing one line of JavaScript yourself. So, basically, agent mode is your personal translator. It takes your normal descriptions like write a test for this endpoint or check for a valid auth token and turns them directly into the code that does the work. This is going to save you hours of manual scripting and make sure your tests follow best practices from day one. Okay, let's put it all together. How did these superpowers combine to solve a really tough, real-world support problem? Let's take a look at a classic bug that is notoriously hard to reproduce: the race condition. So, here's the ticket that just landed on your desk. A user says when they accidentally double-click the pay button, the first payment goes through just fine, but the second one immediately comes back with a 409 conflict error, which then locks up their cart. Trying to reproduce this against a live system is next to impossible.
But with a mock server? Oh, this is easy. First, you create a mock endpoint for /payment. Then, and this is the key, you save 2 different examples for that same endpoint. The first one returns a 200 OK. The second one returns a 409 conflict. Postman's matching algorithm is smart enough to cycle through these examples, perfectly simulating that race condition every single time you run the test.
And this is the final, beautiful step that closes the whole loop. Once you've captured this behavior, you don't just describe it in a ticket. You generate a Jira issue directly from Postman, and it automatically includes the request, the exact response, and a link to the collection. You've just handed the development team irrefutable, executable proof of the bug. So what does this all actually mean for you, day to day? It means your entire workflow as a support engineer can be totally transformed. You're no longer just a messenger of problems. You're a problem solver. Let's just break it down one more time. Mock servers, they solve the problem of unreliable or unavailable backends. Postman flows, they automate all those repetitive manual API sequences. And AI-generated tests, they give you expert-level test coverage, even if you don't have the time or skills to write scripts from scratch. Look, this is the real takeaway here. It's a huge shift from passively reporting bugs to actively proving them with evidence that is controllable, automated, and validated. This earns you so much credibility and, most importantly, gets bugs fixed way faster. So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. After seeing these hidden powers, which tedious, repetitive, or just frustrating part of your daily job are you going to automate first? You can try out every single thing we talked about today for free at postman.com. Now go unlock that other 90%.